Welcome to your Joyful Riches podcast, where you gain precious tips and tools in creating a beautiful, thriving life that you'd love, even if you are facing challenges and adversities. This podcast is delivered alongside the International Childhood Cancer Charity, where our mission is to empower, in addition to emotionally and physically heal disadvantaged children with cancer globally, one child at a time. And for this week, we are so very honored and so very thrilled to have Tony with us. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tony. Would you care to share with our audience what is it that you do?
Yes, I am a men's grief coach.
Men's grief coach. Now, I would say two things about that. Firstly, it's not very common for people to be grief coaches. A lot of different coaches, a lot of different occupations, but it's like not the most common occupations. But men grief coach is even more unique, I would say. And what brings you to become a men's grief coach? Did you kind of like grow up thinking, it'll just be so cool if I become a grief coach, particularly a man grief coach, or is it some form of journey that bring you there?
It was a journey. It was definitely a journey, and you're absolutely correct. No one wakes up and says, I want to get into grief, right? My journey is what led me here. It's what I helped identify what was inside of me, my gift, sort of, like what I like to call it. And that journey, wow, is a long one, but I'll give you the short version of it. Um, my journey actually started when I was 6. I was molested by my neighbor's son. And then from there, life just kind of moved me around a lot, I spent 24 years in a gang, lost a lot of friends, went to prison for 5 years for a crime I never committed. And in 2006, I had my son. And I would say that is really where the journey got interested. And my son was born December 18th, 2006. And what actually really began my grief journey is 2015, October 31st, 2015. He was overdosed by a massive mistake by his pharmacist. Followed by 9 months later, he passed away from unknown causes. And then 2 years and 1 month after that, my mother passed away. And that is where things got interesting because I went through a process, I didn't know what grief was. I really didn't. After all the losses I've ever endured, everything I've ever gone through, I never really knew what grief was. Lost all kinds of friends to suicide, addictions, homicides, you name it. I probably lost them to it. But coming from a place where I didn't understand, I went through the process of grief and it looked reckless. It looked crazy. I was making bad choices. Um, I ended up losing everything and almost took my life. And in that process, I found myself. I found who I truly am. And then from there, I decided, I better go out and find some sort of support. And because the next time I try this, I'm going to be successful. And I really understood that. But when I went out to go look for support, there was nothing out there for men. And so I had the bright idea, something started nagging me. And I said, I'm going to start this nonprofit. I see there's a gap in this world. And I wonder if I could feel it. So when I started doing more research, I said, I'm going to dedicate my time to men like myself to provide space so we can be able to talk, start healing, but also start to understand that what we're going through is totally normal and it's okay not to be okay.
That is so beautiful. And I love that how you say it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
And firstly, my heart goes out to you for all you've experienced from the childhood to the passing of your son, which just beyond words for any parents, and also with your mother, all the things that you've experienced. Excuse me, and amazing how you create something so wonderful and kind of bring the gifts out of all those. But I love what you say there, that it's okay not to be okay. It's and sometimes so many people, men and women, really believe that they have to always be okay. Like you got to always be strong and always be positive and you always be normal even when your life turning upside down somehow some way, partly because society believing in that. So but how do you have any recommendation in the short times that we have here? I know you help a lot of people, and it can be so much insight from you. But do you have any basically let's say couple tools that people can benefit just to even be able to allow themselves to not be okay?
Yeah. Firstly, surround yourself with people that can resonate with what you're going through. It makes it easier to have the conversation. Secondly, surround yourself with people that will show up with you and be able to walk with you, be able to allow you to express what you're going through, but also doesn't make it about them. That is huge. A lot of times when people have conversations with people who are grieving, they often start the conversation with I. I realize that when people start the conversation with I, it takes away from the person who actually needs the support. And being around in a community, people that you can actually connect with is important.
That is very true. To have a community, to have a support system that
Yes.
that not only get you, but like you said, allow you. Because
Yes.
sometimes people get you, they're kind of like, okay, we understand you, we're compassionate and on and so forth. But do they really allow you? And having helped people with grief over 25 years, I've known even sometimes medical professional that says, well, you got to feel this way and you got to
Yeah.
we got you
Instead
while
of
you're feeling
allowing,
bad. We got you while you're feeling this way or while you're feeling that way. But you should feel this way or by now you should be. It's like, huh?
yeah, it doesn't make sense to it. Like they have a way of saying, you're at this stage, you should be feeling this way. And they take away the fact of that grief has no blueprint to it.
No.
It shows up and you have to just be in a moment with it. At least that's what I found out. You have to be in a moment with it. You have to allow yourself to go through the grief, not rush it, not thinking that you should be this way or that way, because when you do that, you put unrealistic expectations on yourself. And so when people do that to you, it's as if they're putting those expectations upon you, and you tend to believe them
Mhm.
until things don't work out. And then you find yourself in a place of confusion, um, and desperation.
Yeah, yeah. It's exactly. It's not only, people, particularly since a lot of these are from people with authority, so to say, in medical health professions of some form. It's just not only doesn't work, it make the grievers feel worse, like you say.
Yeah,
It make them confused, and it make them like thinking that there is something wrong with them when they're already feeling bad.
yeah, yeah. And no one wants to feel that way, you know? And so it's always important for someone who's in a grief field to understand that that is not the way to do it, especially if you have lived experience. Because I always ask myself, I wouldn't want to feel, feel that way. So why would I want someone else to feel that way?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's meant to be different, and everybody has their different timing. It's not like you got to fit what have you. I tend to say don't give grief time, because some people say, "Oh, I'm just going to give it time and think I'm going to get better on my own magically." So don't give grief time, but you want to give yourself time, which is big difference than giving grief time and thinking it's suddenly gonna disappear and vanish. But you do want to give yourself time, like you said, and not rush it or try to fit into somebody else's idea on where you're supposed to be at this many years and months later. And so now you mentioned about man, being man grief coach specifically, not just a grief coach.
Yes.
Share with us that some people believe that there is no difference, but I know from my experience, men do grieve differently and feel different. I mean, as meant to be. But would you care to share with us in your experience, let's just say a couple things that perhaps can firstly help men who are going through things understand themselves, but also, since there are women listening to this as well, maybe even help them understand the man in their life. How is it different between men and women when it comes to grief and having tough times?
Well, it goes down to the statement perception versus reality, right? A lot of times when men grieve, and this goes back from our childhood, we're always taught, to man up, that men don't do certain things. Men don't cry. Men don't um, showing weakness is not good. So our go-to is to get angry, right? Ever since we're children, if we get into trouble, we get our butt whips or something like that, we're told, hey, you know what, you better stop crying before I give you something to cry about. So we suck it up, right? But what is our go-to after that? We push out our chest and we go and we want to punch something. We start fights with people. We get irritated. We isolate ourselves and things like that. So when we get older and we're around our female counterparts or around other people for that matter, this is what we do. We get angry, we push people away, we start arguments, etc. So what people see, you see the anger, you see the aftermath, you see the chaos that we can have a tendency of causing, the addiction, the bad choices, the homelessness, all of these different things. So that's perception. Reality is, this is how we express our emotions, right? When a man is hurt, we don't know how to express ourselves in a way to where we cry or, know how to communicate because we've been told to shut up our whole entire lives. So we have to resort to what we know. And so to the man out there that's listening to it, it's okay. I get it. We understand. For the women out there, instead of thinking, that there's something wrong with that individual, try to look at it from the perspective of the man. He's hurting. So the emotional aspect that comes along with it is something to be understood and not bypassed. And so once you understand that, you know how to show up with the man in your life, right? You know how to go, hey, I I, I get it. You know, if you need to talk, that's fine. If you don't need to talk, that's fine. Give that individual time and be patient with them, because you have to understand that those emotions are places that we've never been before, right? And so sometimes it's okay to let us go out and blow off steam, go to the gym, lift weights, or, find a punching bag or something like that, just to get it out, not allowing us to carry it around with us, because over a period of time, it manifests itself in a more physical way.
I love that how you say, to make it okay to feel angry.
Hmm.
And to understand that it is an effect. Many people don't realize anger is a secondary emotion, but that it is
Hmm.
an effect on something else. And for the recipients, now, of course, it doesn't mean that we'll allow abuse or anything like that. But for the recipients to not take it on you, but to realize, like you said, the person is hurting,
Hmm.
and that sometimes they need to be given space, and some people want to talk and some people don't, and some people want to talk but don't know what to say. So
Very true. Very true.
sometimes it's kind of like, yeah, I wish I can. I work with gentlemen from as well, and you're like, yeah, I wish I can just express things, but I just can't. And that's okay too, because everybody different, and that is wonderful advice. Thank you so much. And yes, blow off steams, whether you go to the gym or get a punching bag, or something like that.
Yeah. Long rides.
Yeah, I even teach people to go in your in your bathroom, or if you have a walk-in closet, that works very well. Go in your
Hmm.
walk-in closet, just make sure you close all windows and tell people in your household so you don't scare everybody, and scream on top of your lung if you need to, because sometimes we just got to scream it out. And so, but I love that. Now, this is being the International Childhood Cancer Charity, and February 15 is the International Childhood Cancer Day. Many parents whose child afflicted by cancers experience profound grief beyond words can ever comprehend.
Yes.
And do you and anytime a child ill, and definitely, well, if the child when the child passed, do you have any specific any tips for parents who are experiencing grief because their child is not well?
You know, um, the biggest tip that I can ever have for a parent that is going through something so tragic as that: enjoy the moments with them. Don't take for granted, you know, um, just enjoy the moments with them. Spend as much time as you can with them. Create as many memories that you can with them. And make sure that they know that they're loved, that they're cared for, and that you'll always be there for them. It hurts my heart whenever I hear of someone going through something like that, especially child loss. It is by far the most difficult thing that you will ever face. And just enjoy them, please. Just enjoy them. Let them be kids.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that. I love that you say, to enjoy every moment, to cherish every moment. Sometimes, and it's very normal and natural for people to want to do a bunch of things and
Mhm.
to do the right things. You got to eat the right food and you got to do, yeah, you know, and then before you know it, it is a million got to. And yes,
Yes.
of course, it's important, particularly when navigating illness, that we do the best possible best possible way to follow medical protocol and things like that. But also above and beyond that, what the kids need is for you to be there, like you say, to enjoy, to for the kids to feel the love and to feel appreciated and cherished and have fun with with the parents the way
Oh yeah.
it needs.
Oh yeah.
No, they don't need a long laundry list of got to when they're already not feeling bad. Yes, we need to get things done, but any kids feeling good or not feeling good, they're kind of like you say, kids to be kid, to allow them to be a kid and feel the joy of being a kid in whatever amount of time it is. Well, that is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Tony, for your beautiful thoughts and advice. How do people, men who are navigating challenges and facing adversities, how do they connect with you if they want to connect with you?
Yes, they can find me on Instagram. They can as Men's Grief Support. They can find me on Facebook as Memories of Us. They can find me on LinkedIn as Tony Lynch. For those out there I also host a podcast as well. So it's called Grief, Let's Talk About It. So if you ever want to see stories like these and hear conversations from people who have experienced loss on many, many different levels, they can find me at the Grief Let's Talk About It podcast on YouTube. But also, they can email me, tolynch46@gmail.com.
Thank you for sharing your email and all those informations. If you are anyone facing tough times and want to learn more, definitely connect with Tony. And as we complete our time together, is there as we complete our time together, what would be one of if you have a final message for our listener, for our audience?
Have patience with yourself.
Have patience with yourself. I love that. And that is, in this day and age, definitely it's a skill that many people can benefit from rediscovering, where
Yeah.
we tend to allow society and everybody else is push us, and particularly in the Western world, right, or in the US, where the running is not fast enough. So,
This is true. You know, everybody want to rush healing. Everybody want to rush grief, because no one wants to hurt. You know, no one wants to feel as if they're alone in this world. Sometimes it's okay to take a breath, take a step back, and just have patience with yourself. The process of grief is one that needs to be taken slowly. It teaches you so much. It teaches you so much about yourself, but it also gives so much in return, like shared memories, right? And when you rush the process, you forget the joy that the person that you have lost have given you. So patience with yourself during the process of grief is one of my go-tos.
that is beautiful. That is beautiful. Thank you so much, Tony. Thank you for all the precious tips and advice for us as we navigate through life, because the fact of life is it's not always smooth sailing, unfortunately. So thank you so much for that. And to you, my friends who are listening to this, please share these conversations with your friends and families, because as we know, Life is not always a walk in the park, and it is much better way to be able to have the tools to help ourselves or our loved ones and be ready for that if things are happening, and if you are facing challenging time at this moment in your life. My heart goes out to you. Feel welcome to connect with Tony or with myself, or both great coaches, in whichever way that serve you the best. And also please share one or two gold nuggets in the comment below so we can continue learning and helping each other. And this is Dr. BirgitteTan, your grief specialist and founder of the International Childhood Cancer Charity. We care about you very much, and we look